friends, how you doing? It's Charles here, and today I want to talk about Killtown #2 from Execution Posse / Keenspot Comics. The last two videos I actually released were on the overall Night of the Cadillacs franchise universe, which this is a part of. And so I figured, you know what? I read it recently close enough to the Stitches and Lipstick Clica. I might as well just drop this in a row, make it a 3-day series. So here it is. After the first issue of Killtown, I was really excited about this universe. And so I went back and I bought the Stitches, and I bought Lipstick Clica #1 after being disappointed by #2. The Stitches was enjoyable. It was better than Lipstick Clica #2. Lipstick Clica #1, it was better, and it gave a lot of context to #2, but still wasn't up to the expectations of Killtown #1. Pardon me. And so we have Killtown #2, which I was very excited about because Killtown #1, it, despite not introducing the supernatural element of this connected universe, it really laid a lot of groundwork into the main character, Min, who she is, her power, how she came up through the underworld to become an underboss in the Seven Stars Mafia. And at the end, we saw her die, get shot point blank at the forehead. And that, and I thought that might be the end of that character, but then, you get to the last page and you see her on the cover of #2, so I knew that some paranormal shenanigans were going to happen with this, but that was the only hint of it, even though it seems to be an overarching theme of the entire Night of the Cadillacs universe. And I have to say, I always talk about, I will never be negative on this channel, and so while I do have some things I did not like about this book, they're not negative, and I still enjoyed it overall, or else I would not be reviewing it. I only review, as far as comics go, what I enjoy. But that being said, some good things can have big problems. And that two problems specifically, the first one that I noticed is this book, the tone seems to jump around and shift sporadically. You go from serious to non-serious to something being a big deal, suddenly not. You go from feeling like you're in the middle of one plot point and then jumping to something that's completely unrelated to what was going on. It feels almost like, and I'm not a comic book insider, but the way it reads, it feels like they drew the panels first and tried to fit the story around the panels. We start with, after that big cliffhanger of her, dead in an alleyway, we cut to her waking up, and it's almost like somebody waking up from a nap. If you didn't read #1, you wouldn't have known the gravity of what happened to her just from how nonchalant the whole thing is. And literally throughout the whole book, she has a band-aid on her forehead where she was shot, despite being resurrected. And they do some nice world building here. The character that resurrected her is a Korean shaman. She goes, and her history goes back thousands of years, and she gives a deep, in-depth story of how she gained her powers, and that part is nice. But then it jumps from there. She realizes, oh, I'm a vampire now, our main protagonist. And at first, it's like this one panel, you could see that she is very shocked and traumatized by the fact that she's a vampire, and a couple of panels later, she's like, okay, I'm a vampire. Cool, let's go get some blood. Something that is a big change in the character, going from a normal human to a vampire. And she's like, oh, wow, what's going on? Okay, never mind. I'm a vampire now. Let's have some fun. And so that tonal shift was jarring. And the motivation for her resurrection was never made clear because this shaman seems, is presented as a benevolent figure, but Min, our protagonist, is not a good person. She is a vicious, brutal, murderous crime boss. So why did the shaman bring her back? What is the motivation there that never gets addressed? She's like, okay, I'm a vampire now. Gotta put a crew together. I gotta go. A crew for what? To take over. That's her motivation. To take over what? To take over Los Angeles. To take over the greater Night of the Cadillacs universe. What is the goal? And as you're trying to piece that together, we jump quickly to a club scene. After, of course, she gets something from the fridge, which, a whole page of her gorging herself in the fridge does nothing for world building. I think they could have used those panels for something more, but she goes to a hip hop club, and you see in these bubbles here the lyrics of the live performer going on, and you don't know why she's at the hip hop club, but she has to get backstage. She breaks a bouncer's leg, busts in backstage, and introduces herself to the female rapper, and she breaks the ice by giving her payout for the night. Okay, why is Min giving the rapper her payout? And she's like, well, I heard you arguing with the club promoter about him not wanting to pay you. So I took care of that for you, which is something that we didn't see in any panels. We didn't see in any words. We didn't see anything of this whole plot point. And when we go back to that full page panel of her gorging herself in the refrigerator, you could have used that to establish the promoter angle and her getting her way back to the female rapper. But then again, she's putting together a crew. It's really not even explained why this rapper would be a vital part of the crew. She mentions right here in one text bubble, you're Mduza. That name should inspire fear. You used to rip out the vocal cords of people who looked at you wrong. And that is it. And then they go back to talking about her rapping. So was the ripping out the vocal cords literal, metaphorical? What does she bring to the table? What does she bring to this crew? Why is she the first person that is being recruited for this takeover? And then one thing that really bothered me is in the line that I just read where it says, you're Mduza, that name should inspire fear. But I want you to take a look at this thought bubble or the speech bubble and tell me what I changed. So what is missing there? You're Mduza, hat name should inspire fear. Hat. They missed a T in the word that. How with you're being distributed through Previews World, you're in major comic book stores. How do you miss a T in the word that? And then there are a couple of other things in the book where speech bubbles are over people who are not being spoken to, and it looks like they're just speaking to themselves, and it makes you take extra steps to make up for the lackadaisical nature of the editing. And like I said, I enjoyed the book, but to a more critical eye, this book would be a deal breaker. I understand that they are a smaller company, but things like typos, things like speech bubbles being over the wrong person, things like wasted panels and not explaining what is going on, missing key plot points. I don't care what size company you are. These are things that can be, easily taken care of. There are, you know, it jumps from random violence to random nudity to random conversations that don't move the plot point along. Um, And the art is engaging as always, which is the biggest saving grace. And I enjoy the world that they're building, and that Killtown takes place in. And I have hope for the franchise. But the one thing that I saw with this company is that Lipstick Klika started off with, a double sized #1 issue that established a lot of what was going to be in that book. #2 fell off. Killtown, #1, established men and established the world that she was in. And then #2 was a disappointment. And I'm going to stick with it. I read The Stitches #1, which was a relatively strong #1 issue. And I'll see if that trend continues. And, but as far as, like I said, if you're a big fan of the art style, and really adult themed graphic comic books, I do suggest it. But you're gonna have to wade through a lot of you're gonna have to work your way through a lot of frustrating mistakes and stumbles that this company is making, just to keep it real. But I still suggest it. I still dig it. And if you want to check it out for yourself and compare what I'm saying to the book, go check it out at your local comic book store. Like I always say, I'm not a professional. I'm just an old nerd that loves comics and loves the joy of comics. So you can check this out at your local comic book store. And if you don't have a local comic book store, I always suggest Coffee and a Comic out of Huntington Beach. If you're not in California, like I'm not, you can order via the website coffeeandacomic.com. I have a great deal with my shipping subscription. I pay $23 a month, and I get weekly boxes sent to my front door from California to Wyoming to enjoy my books. So check them out. They have great deals, great prices, and I'll see you guys next time. Until then, keep reading them books and let me know what you think of Killtown or Lipstick Klika or The Stitches or the Greater Night of the Cadillacs universe. You guys be easy. I'll see you next time.